Support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum. Located in Jennings City Hall, the museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. Additional support provided by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.
There is some potential that this storm will actually make landfall in Texas and then after some period of time re-enter the Gulf and potentially move eastward towards Louisiana.
Flood-weary Louisiana braces for what could happen in this apparent perfect storm of destruction. Hi everyone, I'm Andre Morrow. Right now on the state we're in, Governor John Bel Edwards declares a state of emergency for all of Louisiana. The reason is Major Hurricane Harvey, poised to strike the Texas coast near Corpus Christi with devastating winds, catastrophic storm surge, and dozens of inches of rain. In Louisiana, Lower Cameron Parish is under a mandatory evacuation as they've already felt the effects of the outer bands.
We do expect that this will be primarily a rain event and not a wind event. And the expectations right now, and these expectations are over several days.
In Calcasieu Parish, homeowners in Moss Bluff barricaded their homes with sandbags in anticipation of extreme rainfall and flooding. The threat of tornadoes is also increasing now. Southwest Louisiana under a tornado watch until 2 a.m. Saturday. Harvey is the first major hurricane to impact the U.S. in a dozen years. LPB's Kelly Spires is here now with more on that. Kelly?
Thank you, Andre. I spoke with state climatologist Barry Keim about the science behind the storm. Conditions in the Gulf of Mexico were perfectly aligned to make Hurricane Harvey rapidly intensify. Early Thursday afternoon, Harvey was still a tropical storm. In about 36 hours, by the time it makes landfall Friday night, it will be a major hurricane. State climatologist Barry Keim has seen his share of storms.
The storm's intensifying pretty rapidly, primarily because the conditions are just incredibly conducive for formation of a storm and for the production of high winds and so on.
There are two factors contributing to its growth. The first is surface temperature in the Gulf of Mexico.
The minimum sea surface temperature you need to support a hurricane or a tropical storm is about 80 degrees. Well, the temperatures are running in the mid-80s, and that represents an enormous uptick in the amount of energy that is feeding into this particular storm system.
Secondly, there's very little of something called wind shear.
The air converges at the surface and it rises, but it has to have somewhere to go in the upper atmosphere and needs to be able to vent. And you hear the term shear a lot. When the wind shear is strong, that means the winds in the upper atmosphere are blowing really, really fast, and it kind of shears and cuts the top off the top of the storm, and it keeps that ventilation process from taking place.
But once Harvey hits land, meteorologists don't really know what will happen.
This forecast is highly uncertain as to where the storm is going to go. I mean, I think the Hurricane Center feels pretty good about it making landfall along the Texas coast, probably near Corpus Christi or perhaps a little north of Corpus Christi. After that point, I would argue all bets are off.
Typically, the potential path of a hurricane is marked with a cone. It grows wider the further into the future you're trying to predict.
Right now, the cone of error is a circle around the storm. And what that tells us is that we don't know where this thing is going to go. So it could just as easily go south and west down the Texas coast towards Brownsville as it could toward Louisiana.
Harvey has some similar characteristics to the storm that caused the Great Flood in South Louisiana last August. The first is the amount of rain it has the potential to drop.
Basically what we had last August was a precursor to a hurricane. It was in the tropical wave stage, and it never developed any further. The winds never developed. However, it was completely embedded in what we call maritime tropical air. That is air off the Gulf of Mexico, which is very warm, it's very humid, and once you start getting a little bit of that low pressure with the uplift in the atmosphere, then you start popping off the thunderstorms.
And this storm could sit still for days.
Essentially what the storm is going to do is stall. It's going to bob and weave, perhaps make a little bit of a loop.
Just like last August, there's nothing to keep this storm moving, nothing to push it farther inland like a typical hurricane.
It has no steering currents. and there's no other weather systems. There's no high pressure systems or whatever trying to push it out of the way and move it along. And as a result, it's probably just going to hang along this part of the coastline for 4, 5, 6 days. We really don't even know yet.
Though this storm is centered in Texas now, that could change.
There's even some chance this thing could make landfall late Friday night, early Saturday morning, move inland, hang around for a day or two, and move back offshore again. And once it gets back over the water, anything can happen. It could re-intensify.
And Louisiana is ill-suited to withstand the kind of weather Harvey would bring because the state has had quite a bit of rain already this summer.
We've been in a pretty wet pattern for the last few weeks. And by virtue of that, the ground is mostly saturated. Some of the rivers are running a little bit above normal of what their flow would be. And as a result, if we have one of these big rainfall events dropped on our landscape, unfortunately, the soil moisture doesn't have a whole lot of capacity to absorb a lot of that moisture, and that's only going to exacerbate the runoff. So it's going to compound issues with flooding across the region, unfortunately.
Keim advises Louisiana officials and its residents to keep an eye on Harvey's progress.
If it just gets drifting off in some direction and it drifts towards Louisiana, we could be getting a lot of this rainfall into deep into the weekend and into early next week. So this thing definitely bears watching from the state of Louisiana because this could get pretty incredible.
For LPB, I'm Kelly Spires.
General Russell Honore became the face of the savior of Louisiana in our post-Katrina world, and you have been a busy man all day also from 3 a.m. this morning doing satellite interviews nationwide. Thank you for taking the time for us right now. I want to ask you, has Louisiana done what it needs to do in advance of what could be?
I think so. Our governor has given the proper warnings. They've done an evacuation to Cameron Parish for good reason. The elevation in Cameron Parish is about 3 feet. We're expecting anywhere from 1 to 3 foot tidal surge going into Cameron. So much of Cameron Parish south of the Industrial Canal could flood.
You know, we see the word unprecedented a lot, especially with flooding in the past year throughout the state. Well, this is a storm where they're saying this is unprecedented. You've got 2 high pressure systems that have held this storm in place. It has ramped up to an unbelievable strength, and then it's going to sit there.
Well, it's a triple threat. You got the surge, you got the eye of the storm going into points around Corpus Christi. In the front right of it, it's going to shoot out tornadoes. The good news is it looked like it might make landfall by 10 p.m. this evening as opposed to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But that wind damage, or if it comes in at a 3, it will quickly dissipate, which normally happens down to a 1 in a tropical storm probably by sunrise. But it will already done wind damage, which means it's going to cut the lights out.
Oh yeah, in a big way.
The tidal surge at the peak of this, and it's coming at high tide. So we got a combination of landfall inside the high tide zone, which pumps the surge water up even higher. The elevation in Corpus Christi is 6 foot. We expected surge up to 12.
Right.
So anybody in a low-lying area that normally floods is going to flood. And that's why I made the comment earlier on a previous show, we should have had a mandatory evacuation of Corpus Christi as opposed to a voluntary. And again, I get to say that as an analyst as opposed to somebody that's appointed in the government. But I think, back to your basic question about Louisiana, I think preparations have been put in place. The Red Cross is leaning forward, working with the parishes. I know because I'm a member of the Red Cross board. And the National Guard is leaning forward. They are pre-positioning and getting their troops ready. And the good news is a weekend. So we've got a lot of troops available that the governor can call on without disrupting a whole lot of workforce. But this National Guard is well trained. They got the equipment. They've got the small boats to go in to do the rescue. But at the end of the day, people, if you live in an area, Lake Charles, south into Cameron, and you live in a place that flooded during Rita or even Katrina or Gustav, you need to evacuate because the storm may take another 24 hours before you feel the effects of wind, which is going to turn lights out, tidal surge, which is going to push the water up through the Sabine as well through the channel going up into Lake Charles, and the 10 to 12 inches of rain that could fall in the area. So you got rainfall, you got surge water, and you got wind that'll turn the lights out. And if you're in an area that traditionally flood or water, you see water on your streets during a heavy rainstorm, you need to consider to evacuate. And if you have people with elderly people, go ahead and evacuate them, because it's best you move them before as opposed to trying to go in and get them afterwards.
And what you don't have is a storm that's going to come in and then take off and leave. You're going to have something that's going to stay for days and days and be in the news into next week, Tuesday, Wednesday perhaps. And then is when Louisiana would get even more of it.
Absolutely. It'll go into the heartland of Louisiana is what the projected path is going to take. But in the meantime, we'll be getting rain tonight through probably Tuesday is a prediction. And it's going to be almost continuous. And the streets are going to flood. The bayous are going to back up. The interstate's going to get blocked in Houston, between Houston and Lake Charles. So if you live in a low-lying area, now is the time to move.
Right.
Don't wait. If you don't do it today, do it at first light in the morning, because we still got about another 12 to 18 hours before you start getting the rainfall flooding in Lake Charles. But the surge will start tomorrow morning.
Let me ask you briefly, if you can say it, the federal reaction to this so far in advance.
I would feel better if the president had stayed at the White House, as opposed to, again, we got this idea of the president going off to
a vacation spot?
A vacation spot out of the White House. That's the purpose of the White House, the Command and Control Center.
You want to be there.
And I know, I used to be on the National Command Center. I know they got capacity, but it's the idea of we got 16 million people. Many of them don't know if you're going to have a roof on their house tomorrow. And the last thing they see is the president going off to a vacation house, knowing what happened with this word vacation and Katrina.
General Andre, thank you so much, as
Good
always.
to see you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. When there's a hurricane in the Gulf, oil and gas companies evacuate workers from offshore rigs. Now our Kelly Spires reports on how this storm is impacting rigs and many of America's refineries.
On this map, every white square with a brown outline is a petroleum refinery. The blue flames are natural gas processing plants.
Almost half of the refining capacity in the entire country is between New Orleans and Corpus Christi, Texas. And Harvey in particular is going right in that alley.
Upton is keeping an eye on those squares over the coming weeks to monitor energy supplies.
Two big things that I'm going to look for in looking at the refineries specifically is, number one, is power. In order for the refineries to run at full capacity, they're going to need electricity.
Of course, there's also localized flooding that could diminish production. Energy experts have been through this before.
Is the last time that we've had major supply disruptions was Hurricane Katrina 12 years ago. Of course, you know, Harvey is to be seen, and I don't want to downplay any potential damages that it could have, but Hurricane Katrina was arguably the most catastrophic hurricane in U.S. history.
Hurricane Katrina affected gas prices across the country.
For that, we did see supply shortages, you know, some empirical estimates say that maybe prices increased by 30, 40 cents a gallon, something in that range. And so I would say that could sort of be the upper range that would be reasonable for a storm.
But a lot has changed since then.
We've seen the share of U.S. oil and natural gas production in the Gulf of Mexico itself attenuate over this last decade. And the reason for that is due to the advent of shale oil and gas resources all over the country.
Oil and gas companies have changed and updated infrastructure in the last 12 years. Energy companies call hurricane preparation storm hardening.
I think that there's been a lot of storm hardening techniques that the utilities have really focused on. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that us on the Gulf Coast have become sort of the world experts in storm hardening and preparing for hurricanes.
In post-Katrina New Orleans, billions of dollars have been spent to try and shore up Louisiana's largest city in the event of another storm. So back on August 5th, when a typical summer rainstorm exposed major problems with the city's pumping system, the drainage system, there was widespread flooding there. Well, you can imagine the reaction from that. Paul Mawson, he is the general manager of public radio in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, WWNO Radio and WRKF. Joining us via Skype from St. Louis, the reaction from people in New Orleans when this happened, this widespread flooding from a typical rainstorm.
I think it's created, I think, a fairly high level of anxiety right now concerning the current situation because of the fact that the pump system, which has been pretty reliable in New Orleans, now there's a credibility issue right now. And I think part of it was the fact that when the flooding happened recently, the people of New Orleans were basically told that all the pumps were operating at full capacity, and it turns out that was not the case.
The mayor, Mitch Landrieu, still uncertain about 15 of the city's 120 pumps, which was about the malfunction rate back on August 5th.
I think the issue is the fact that we don't know exactly how many of the pumps are working. I mean, they're working on getting them back online. We're supposed to get some more information today and tomorrow on that. But people are not sure of exactly what the capacity is. And we have this hurricane now in the Gulf, and that is making people understandably very nervous. And we're hoping to get more information on that.
This seems unacceptable that this is even happening.
I think that's what's really interesting is that here we are in basically prime time of hurricane season, and we're talking about the pumps not functioning at the capacity they're designed to be functioning at, and people are kind of wondering. I think people in New Orleans they're confused about that, but they're also angry about it.
Yeah, of course.
Wondering why this wasn't priority number one.
Paul Mawson, we appreciate your time with us, leader in Louisiana Public Radio, and offering your insight on living in New Orleans and working there. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Andre.
Nearly 52,000 college students will be using TOPS to pay for their tuition this year. The state's current funding for the program is about $300 million. That's nearly 10 times what it cost when it was introduced 2 decades ago. Beginning September 6th, a joint legislative task force will study how to sustain the program. This month, Louisiana Public Square brought together students, parents, and decision makers to discuss their own ideas. Here's a preview.
I believe in merit. I think a scholarship should be achievement, not just because you're wherever you are in life. It should be, if you want it, work for it. And it starts when you're in high school, grammar school, families. I mean, there's really no excuse not to be able to achieve a 3.0 average.
Is TOPS working? Is it a good thing? Your thoughts, Elizabeth?
I think, the real question here is, what is the point of TOPS? What do people want TOPS to be? We hear a lot of people say it keeps the best and the brightest in the state. I know covering the legislature, when it comes up in budget discussions, people say that, but you have to really look at, is that what the legislature wants TOPS to be? Because it's not historically necessarily what the mission has been. Do you want it to be a needs-based? I think that has been really missing from the legislature, and hopefully this task force that's been created can kind of get to the bottom of that and raise some of these issues and really try to figure out what is TOPS supposed to be for the future, because we know of anything it's likely not sustainable as it is with the budget.
My position is, I have 3 sons, all who attended LSU. They have 5 degrees between them. 2 of them earned undergraduate degrees with TOPS. And I don't like having the finger pointed at me and people saying, well, your children should not have gotten TOPS because you and your husband worked hard and you're successful. I resent that. It's not our fault that TOPS can't be funded. It's the fault of the legislature. Tuition has increased because the legislature has decreased its support for higher education.
TOPS is not growing. TOPS is capped. It was capped last year at the 16-17 school year, so it will not grow. 20% of the cost for TOPS, which is $60 million, come from the tobacco fund. In 2024, another $80 million will be available for TOPS. So half of the cost for TOPS will be funded out of the tobacco fund. So the state general fund will decrease.
Quite frankly, we talk about the benefits that this could do to the economy. Our roads and our infrastructure and our bridges are such a high cost to our economy, it's ridiculous. And all of these things are being sacrificed for the sake of something extra. And now, again, and I stated before you guys came out here, I just want to say I'm very thankful for my TOPS scholarship, and I do want to see a way for it to be preserved. But quite frankly, to me, it's a question of priority. How do we have a more honest conversation about TOPS and what it's actually costing our state, not just what it's costing them in their tuition payments?
That's a preview of Studying TOPS. It re-airs this Sunday at 11 a.m. To comment or get more information about the show, visit lpb.org/public square. The will to make something happen has paid off after years of planning and of perseverance. Louisiana's newest museum for children, the Knock Knock Children's Museum, is open now in Baton Rouge. It joins 8 other kids' museums across the state that count on you to keep them open by going to see the exhibits and with sponsor donations. The founders say the Knock Knock Children's Museum in Baton Rouge is a place for parents to bring their children and watch them explore and learn and enjoy. Check out the multicolored butterfly mobile, sponsored by Louisiana Public Broadcasting. The storybook Climber, with books big enough for kids and adults to climb. And the kids' car wash, and much more. The museum is in constant motion.
We take a lot of pride in making sure that everything we do is irresistible to children and parent approved.
The dream that became this museum began with 2 moms, Kelly Stevens and Cricket Gordon.
Cricket and I used to talk all the time about our kids, and we talked about what could we do to make Baton Rouge a better community. I think we were both really concerned with the divide in Baton Rouge, and we kept talking, and from my experience working at the Houston Children's Museum, I knew that children's museums bring people together because everybody wants what's best for their children.
Almost 14 years, with more than $13 million raised later, this 3-story glass and steel learning place has arrived.
One of the tricks of a children's museum is to use these really fanciful, immersive environments to launch imaginations. And then you pair that with really specific hands-on activities that support development and learning. And the two together just make children's museums like powerhouse in children's learning and development.
Olson says the challenge is keeping the museum vibrant and open. Money problems will force Shreveport's Siveport Discovery Center to shut down September 4th. It plans to reopen under the management of the team behind the new Shreveport Aquarium.
We have to raise money every year to keep the doors open. Since children's museums are such popular destinations, we anticipate about 60% of our annual budget being covered by earned income, but that means we have to raise about $900,000 every year just to sustain our operations.
People would ask us about sustainability and, will you ever be able to support yourself just on earned income? And the answer is no, because truthfully to me, if we're all on earned income, then we're not meeting our mission. We want this to be an experience that's open to people from all backgrounds, regardless of their ability to pay.
In the decade plus since the ideas that hatched Knock Knock, there's been constant research and study.
Among our board members, I bet you we've covered almost every museum in the country, but we've also listened to some of the failures or some of the things, and we really want to be good stewards of our community's dollars in here and take care of them very well.
I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and I know I'm just going to be able to enjoy this for a long time, and we plan on it.
Your thoughts as you look around and as you listen. I love the listening part because we're hearing birds and all sorts of things happening.
Laughter and children. It's been a long time coming.
Museum admission is $14. It is free for infants up to 12 months old. Right now online, you can find Vietnam War oral histories. Just go to our Louisiana Digital Media Archives. You can find it at lpb.org. For continuing coverage of Hurricane Harvey, you can check out lpb.org/hurricane. It's where you will also find a list of state emergency resources. And everybody, that's our show for this week. Remember, you can watch LPB on demand on your phone or tablet with our LPB Anywhere app. The download is free from your app store. You can catch LPB news and public affairs shows and other Louisiana programs that you've come to enjoy over the years. And please like us on Facebook as well. For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. Thanks for watching. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and visit lpb.org, where you can view more stories and leave us a comment. This program is available on DVD. Support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum. Located in Jennings City Hall, the museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. Additional support provided by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.